Hi everyone and welcome back. So now we are going to build some actual applications with the help of Redux Toolkit. We have seen the previous couple of examples using code sandbox. Now let's build a shopping cart or some useful applications with the help of Redux Toolkit. So this was our previous app which we migrated to the Redux Toolkit. Now we are going to build something like this, and we are going to use VS Code local setup to build this kind of application. We can use React with Tailwind. TypeScript is optional, and we are going to use Redux Toolkit. This is a simple app where you can show the products using the Tailwind utility classes, and when you click on any of the item, you can increase or decrease the quantity. So we are going to create the slices, the product slice, cart slice, the UI slice, because there is a toggle we need to add when a user clicks onto this. And this is the list of all the products. When user click onto the product, we display the details and you can increase and decrease the quantity. So cart slice, product slice, the UI slice, and we are combining all the reducers. You can also write some selectors. So we are starting from very basic. We will install all the modules like the Redux Toolkit. We will set up the store, components, everything is going to be from scratch. Okay, so let's get started. Hi everyone. So what we are going to do now is we will first install the required modules. Like we already have the React Tailwind setup. We need to install the Redux JS toolkit and the React Redux, these two dependencies we need to install in our application. If we check our package.json, then we should see this React Redux and Redux Toolkit, Redux JS Toolkit. These are the two dependencies which we need to install. After that, we can start writing our code. So we are going to build a small shopping cart app, right? So we are not going to write reducers, we are not going to write actions and all. We will just create slices. Okay, and what all slices we need? If we think about the image what we are going to build, we have the product list. Every product has a button, add to cart, and we are showing your purchase in the right hand section. So it's just all about cart slice, product slice, and that's it. So inside slices, first we will talk about cart slice. Then we can also create another slices. Let's say the product slice. And on UI header, we also can have some kind of a toggle. So you can say UI slice.js, and we are going to combine all the reducers together. So let's say index.js, because we are going to create a store somewhere, and that store we are going to, inside store we are going to pass all the reducers, right? So first of all, let's also create a store inside store. So let's say inside index.js we can create a store. So this is our first point, const store, and what we are going to use, we are going to use configure store that we can get from the Redux Toolkit. Import this from Redux Toolkit, and we are going to import configure store. This should come automatically, but we can also type. Okay, this is coming now, configure store. So configure store, and it takes a object, and here we define all our reducers. Okay, all the reducers, like, okay, I have a product, this is what I wanted to have inside a state, this is the first, and here we are going to provide product reducer from product slice. Then we are going to have a cart, and this will be a cart reducer. Then we have a UI just for toggle action, UI reducer. Okay, all these things we are going to write. Export default store. Okay, and this store we can use in our index.js to pass inside a provider. So inside index.js we can use the provider. So import provider from React Redux. So here we are importing provider. So let's import provider. Okay, React Redux. And what we need to do, I mean, we can just skip this, and inside this we can just pass the provider opening and closing, and inside provider we need to pass the store, and store we are going to get from our folder. So we can just say import store from, okay, we have slices, from there we are getting the store, just pass the store object, that's it. So this is like the basic skeleton we have created. Inside provider we are passing store, and this store is a, we are creating store by just calling configure store. All these are the reducers. Now we can create all these slices, product slice, cart slice, UI slice, and there from there we will get these reducers: cart reducer, products reducer, and this is products reducer, cart reducer. Okay, there is some typo, and the UI reducer, and then we export default store. Okay, now we will also import all these things. Okay, now let's go one by one. Let's say the product slice, because it's all about slice. Slice is a combination of your actions and the reducer. So we are talking about the product slice first. So here also we have some data inside SRC. Let's create some mock data because we don't have an API. And inside data we have the products.js. Here I do have some static list of products which I wanted to showcase in my list. So I will just copy it from my template. These are a couple of products. Okay, like let's say there are 6 products, export default products, and I can import those products in my product slice. Okay, so here product slice, let's say there may be a use case. Okay, you are making an API call, and then that API call is resolving the data, and then you are getting the data, right? We don't have an API call, so what we can do is simply we can just kind of mock it. So like export const fetch async products, we can consider that we are doing it async. I mean, in actual we make an API call to a HTTP request using Axios request. Here we are just trying to mock it, trying to make it like it's an async call, return async and dispatch. So this is inner function, and here we can dispatch a couple of events. Okay, so the events can be simple as like we can first dispatch. Okay, I have started fetching the product, something like this. So save the products with empty array. Here we can initialize the state loading true and false. Okay, then I can also call dispatch. Another action is, okay, let's say start fetch. Start fetch. Okay, this is the action, and now here I can just do something like this: const products. So I already have the mock list. What I will try to do is I will just try to make it something asynchronous using promises. Okay, and here I have a resolve and reject, and in set timeout I will just resolve this request. I'm just trying to create a async behavior without making an API call, and I need to make an API call. Sorry, I need to just get the mock data, so I can import the products from the data. Import products from, so I need to go outside, inside data. I think data contains the folder products. From there I got the products. Okay, and I'm going to resolve it after some time. Let's say it took 1 second, and then once we have the products, because we are resolving it, once we have the products, we can set the products to dispatch, and we can just call save method, which we are going to write products. Okay, so I set initially the products is empty array and start doing the fetch, and then I mock the data. This is like I try to convert that into a sync call, because we already have data. We can just write a promise and resolve it after some time, just to make it look like async. So I got the data and I'm just dispatching that. Okay, now I will do everything inside a slice. Const initial state. My initial state looks like, okay, I have a loading false, and I have a list which is an empty array. This is my initial state, and here I can create products slice, and I will be calling create slice method. Inside this I will pass an object, and here the name first argument is products, and my initial state, this is second argument. We need to import the create slice from Redux Toolkit. Okay, initial state, and then we have reducers. Inside reducers we will define all the actions. Okay, let's say start fetch. This was my action, right? And what this action is doing, it is just taking the current state and saying is, okay, state dot loading will become true, because I have started fetching the data. And there is just another simple call is save. Here I am getting state and action. Okay, this should be a function, arrow function, and here I can say is I will get the payload from the action, and then state dot loading has become false. We don't have an error condition, because we are not making API call. We already have data, so there is no error scenario here. List equal to payload, and we are able to set it. So we got the product slice. Now we can export the actions, all the actions. So here export const, what all different actions we have, save and start fetch, and this we are getting from save and fetch, we are getting from product slice dot actions. This we are exporting, and finally we will export the reducer. This is the closing of this, I guess. Okay, now what we will do is const product reducer equal to product slice dot reducer, and we will just do is export default product reducer. So you can see what all we are exporting from this slice. Okay, the reducer, product reducer, and the actions, and this fetch async product. These are the things we are exporting, and this is our slice. This is how it looks like. Product slice. We are calling create slice, initializing the current state, and we have these two actions, start fetch and the save. Similarly, we have to do it on the cart. Product sale is all about, okay, fetch all the products, and we are able to show that on the UI. Now you will do add to cart, remove to cart, increment, decrement the items you wanted to add into the cart. So that we will do inside a cart slice. So we'll copy this and copy and paste it in the cart slice, and then we will see how it looks like. We can zoom a little bit and let's move it to the left. Here, close all the files. We are inside a cart slice. Let's convert it into cart slice. Okay, currently it contains a lot of code, we don't need it. So initial state is empty array. We don't have anything inside a cart. Now you will start adding the product object inside a cart. Okay, this is my initial state. Here I can say this is simple as a cart slice. So I will just replace products with cart. We don't have anything mock data, create slice, cart slice, reducer, and here we will do a lot of things. Okay, add to cart, increment, decrement, clear. Let's say first is the clear. Let's say you decided that you wanted to remove everything from the cart. What you will do? You will do nothing. You will just return the empty array, and let's say add to cart. That means you have state and you have action. Inside action you will have a payload, so we can destructure that. This you can just directly, so this payload you just wanted to insert inside our cart. Okay, so there are a couple of things. When you wanted to add something to the cart, first you will try to find that item. Okay, if that item already exists in our cart or not. So here we are going to write some logic, JavaScript logic. Add to cart, another action is remove, and then add to cart. Okay, it should be increment because we have increment and decrement button. Increment and decrement. So there is increment, there is a decrement, because once you added something to the cart, you can either increase the quantity or decrease the quantity. Okay, so we are destructuring the payload. So inside cart, if you see the product has the ID, title and price, currency. So we can play with these attributes. Like if you are adding something to the cart, first we will check, okay, what is the ID of that item, so that we are going to get from the payload, and then we will just check if item already exists inside our state.find. This state is an array. You can see the initial state is an array, right? Dot find. Here we can say this is the item. If item.id equal to id we are passing, that means the item exists. If this item is available, if this is not null, that means we have to increase the quantity, right? If else, we need to push this item to the cart because this item is a new one. So we are just doing state.push, and you can insert the object. So this is my payload and quantity, and we are not writing TypeScript, otherwise it would have been better, because we can write the interface, then we know what all properties are there. Quantities can be an interface of the product which contains the ID, title, quantity, currency. If item exists, that means we need to increase the quantity of that item, and we need to return all the items, right? So I can say is, I can run a loop onto that items using .map. It will return the new item, and here I can check if item.id equal to the ID we are passing. That means if the match is found, we need to return that item, but increase the quantity with quantity plus 1. Quantity plus 1. Item.quantity item.quantity plus 1. If this is not the case, that means we just need to return the item. We don't need else part for this. We can simply say is return item. Okay, it's like dot map, and it will return the same state but only increase the quantity of the product which is already available. Now you understood the logic of increment and decrement. Increment means we already have the item inside the state, so we can just write the same logic which we have written here for the increment I'm talking about. Here we need to get the payload item.id. So let's say item.id, I mean the payload contains the id only, because payload will be id, not an object. So item.id, if it is increment, increase the quantity. If it is a decrement, we have to do -1, item.quantity, quantity -1, and payload contains the id. So here we are saying is item.id equal to the payload. If that is true, that means quantity equal to item quantity -1, otherwise return the item. Okay, so this is like a simple logic we have written to simulate this kind of increment, decrement, add item to the cart, where we are just passing the id, where we are passing the whole payload, and then we are just doing dot push. And if the item is already added, you can do increment, decrement. Okay, I mean you can also do some kind of checks on the UI that you should not be able to decrease the quantity once the quantity is 0. Some kind of a show and hide we need to do on the UI, but this is a cart slice. Now there is a UI slice just to have a toggle available on the UI. So everything we can construct here. I will just copy the product slice and change something from there. So first of all, we can also export couple of things. Okay, I need to export all these things. Clear, increment, decrement, add to cart, all these methods we have to export as action. Add to cart, increment, okay, cart slice dot actions. And here we don't have any async behavior, right? We just export the actions. So with this method we can remove from the cart slice, and here we will export the cart reducer. Cart reducer is from cart slice dot reducer, and export this so that we can import this inside index.js. Okay, so let's create our UI slice. Let's copy this UI slice, paste it here. We don't have any kind of such method here. We are writing just a logic of toggle. Okay, so if you just look at the UI slice, we are going to have only a single method, and we just have a boolean flag, which is like, okay, sometimes we wanted to have a drawer, right? Cart as a drawer. I mean, we may or may not have it on the actual screen, but here I just wanted to create a UI toggle behavior. Cart drawer visible is false initially. Now inside reducer you can have a toggle, and what toggle will do is state dot cart drawer visible equal to just whatever we have, just put the opposite of it. Okay, and here we will be exporting toggle function, product slice dot actions reducer, product slice dot reducer. So just change it to UI slice. So UI slice dot actions, UI slice dot reducer, and this is UI reducer. That's it. So I think now these all the slices we have created, the logic is kind of simple. We are initializing the state, creating the slice, exposing the actions, and exposing the reducer, so that we can import all these things inside our combine reducer, I mean in the configure store. So we can say is import product reducer from, and we are importing it from the product slice. Same thing we will do cart slice. So this we are importing from cart slice, that is cart reducer, and the last one is the UI reducer. And here it is, UI reducer. Okay, and we are exporting this export default store. We are importing it. That's it. And here we are importing the store. So it's like the end-to-end setup now. Now this one part is kind of done. We have the mock products. We have written the logic for the cart slice, the product slice, and combining all these things, creating the store. Right, cart slice has all these methods of add, remove, increment, decrement. Now the next part is the UI, that is the left. Let's work on that. Talk to the Redux layer, and here we are using Redux Toolkit. So let's copy the app component. We will create our products, the list of products which we are going to show inside a grid, and here we are going to use the hooks to capture the data from the Redux state. Okay, so first let's take a look onto the product component, and here we will say const dispatch, and we can just import it from use dispatch, and we can get the products from using use selector. Inside use selector we access the state, and what we need state.products, and both these things we are getting from React Redux, use dispatch and use selector. So we got all the products, we got the dispatch, so we can show the list of products. Right here we can use effect hook to dispatch this fetch product action. Okay, here we can use dispatch, and we can call fetch async. I think that was the name. Let's go to slice. Inside product slice we had one method in the bottom which is fetch async products. Okay, fetch async products, call it, and then import this thing from the slice. From the slice we are going to import couple of things. So go outside, and inside slices we are going to look into the product slice. From there we are getting fetch async product. So when the page gets loaded, we are going to use effect hook to make the call, and it will be able to populate the data inside a state, because fetch async product, it will set loading to true, and once the loading is false, that means the data is available. And here we can use div class name. Here we can use the flex container. Let's say it's a flex container and mx auto. Okay, inside this we are going to have a grid, division class name, grid, I mean the tailwind grid column, let's say 3. Right, and now we can arrange the items inside this grid. Okay, it is complaining. There are 2 opening and 3 closing. That's wrong. Okay, so now we are like fetching the products. So there will be a product container. So here we can iterate on to the products. So we are getting the products dot map, iterate on each and every product, and here we can render the product inside a product tile. So we can create another component, product item, we can pass as a product, and here we can have a key which is inside a product.id as a unique key. Okay, so all the things about the actions, like here we want to dispatch an action. When you click on add item to the cart, all those things we are going to handle inside a product component. Okay, so this is the product, and we are iterating onto the list of products, right? So how we are getting the product? Using use selector. Let's see that. So if you see the slices, so this is a state tree. We will get state.products, and inside the products we have the list of products inside a list property. So it is state.products.list. Same thing we are doing here, state.products.list. Okay, and once we have the products, we are iterating onto that, and we are passing that in as a product inside a product tile component. Okay, that's nice. And inside this, it's just a simple component which is showing the title. Okay, and if we see this, okay, we are able to see things. That's good. And these are just all the actions. If you can see the chart, currently we have only couple of things. We have the inside the products, we got all the list objects, right? Now what we will do, we are going to use the tailwind grid here to show the icon. Okay, so now let's see, we have product styles ready. Inside products we have tailwind column, tailwind grid column template. This is the column 4, and this is the product tile. Okay, so let's see the output, how it looks like. This is justify center. This is the tailwind grid column, 4-column grid. Okay, we have a couple of items. We can add more items to the products. So we can see a couple of more items in the grid. So we already have ID till 6. I will just increase these IDs from any random ID. This is 40. So now these are actually different products. Save it, and now so we should be able to see more items in the grid. Initially I tried to fix my tailwind configuration because it was not populating the correct set of products in the correct manner on the UI. So now we should be able to see more products. Let's reload this. Okay, now we can add the add to cart button. That add to cart button should be able to add the item to the cart. Okay, so for that we are already using dispatch, and we can have one button here. That button will, when you click onto this, one click, so that button should be able to dispatch add to cart this particular product, and we have to import add to cart, and I will be passing the product object. For that, let's see what we were doing earlier. So when you click on to the add to cart item, we have to pass the product, and add to cart we can import from the slice. So import add to cart from slices, and we'll talk about the product slice, and this is add to cart. So when you click onto this, we'll dispatch add to cart with the product object which we have, and we'll save it. And this is like a button, so we can add some classes. Class name, let's say padding 2, width 24, px 4, and bz gray 200, and this is like add, and save it. Add to cart is already not exported. Product slice, I think we are exporting this add to cart. Export const. Okay, this is from the cart, not from the product slice. This is the fix we have to do. Bz hit pink, product tile, and text is gray 200, text excel, all the default classes we are adding. So when you click on to the add, I think we should be able to add the item to the cart, and I think we are creating a lot of gap that we can reduce by increasing the width of this grid. I think we are setting some constant width which is 48. If I just remove this, then I think it will take more width, but are we fine with that? No. So width is fine. This is inside a container. I think we can also make it inside a container. Container mx auto, we already inside a container, and I mean I don't like the too much spaces, that's why I wanted to reduce the spaces between these grid items. Item center, rounded, justify center, this is good. This is inside a container. I have a grid. Okay, this is fine. Okay, so now when I click on add, what should happen is this item is getting added to the cart. If we see the Redux, whatever the inspect actions we are getting, add to cart, right? And if we see the final state at this moment, then these items has been added. So now this is more simplified. I actually updated some classes just to see how it looks like. Just remove the border, added the background color to these buttons, and I just updated the product tile a little bit. I added the background color. Border is not required there. This is the flex column, item center. So all items can be vertically centered, and then there is add to item. Okay. So whenever you click on to the add to item, we are actually adding the items to the cart. Let's say first item, then second item is added, third item is added, fourth item is added. Now we also need to create a cart container at the right hand side so we can show the added items to the cart. Okay, for that we go to our app.js. Here we also need to create cart container. This will be the cart and components cart. Okay, and here we are going to have the cart. I mean we can have this products in the left and the cart in the right, so we can divide the whole width into 75% and the 25%. So inside the products, currently this is a container. Okay, this is fine. What we can do is we can move this container outside, and then we can divide this into two segments, one which is taking width 3 by 4, and another which is taking width 1 by 4. So first is the products, another is cart. Okay, let's see this. So now we need to work on the cart component. Product tile, cart component. First we will copy the products only, and then we will change the things inside it, because now we need to work on the cart object, not on the product. So we will access the cart. First let's see how it looks like. Okay, so this is covering. If we try to inspect this, then we will see this is 4 column grid, width 3 by 4 and width 1 by 4. This is 1 by 4, not 3 by 4. And we don't need a container inside this because we already have a container outside. Same with the products. So this width 3 by 4, this is 1 by 4. The cart component, in the cart component we will do something else. Let's say we are not, obviously we are not going to have a grid column. It can be a column of 1, gap of 2. Okay, we'll render this and let's see. Okay, let's say I'm going to say, okay, this looks fine. This is what we needed. Right, first we'll have a grid, then second is having the grid of 1 by 4. Now inside a cart, now we are going to work on the cart component, same as the products component. Here we need to list down all the items we have, which you have added inside a cart. Okay, grid column 1. So we can iterate onto the cart object. So first of all, we need to see what is available inside a cart object. So we will go to the cart state container, and inside that we will see how many items are there, right? So inside this products, same as cart, state.cart, that is going to be an array, right? And how we know we are going to get things inside a cart? So here we'll go state.cart, and inside cart reducer, it's the state itself is an array. So state.cart will give us the items that has been added inside the cart. So we will got the cart object, and we also got the dispatch. So if you wanted to dispatch, like remove items from the cart, you can do this through the dispatch. We don't need use effect, we'll just iterate on the cart. Cart is already an array, cart.map, and cart contains the products. Okay, the products which you have added inside the cart array. Okay, so let's say for now we can just show the title. Let's see if it is working. Yes, it is working. I mean, we are adding these items to this cart, but we don't need to show the same template. We just need to show, okay, this is the image, this is the title, this is the price, all these things. Okay, let's say simple example is, we can say product dot title product dot price And we can add some classes here because this can be a tile. Busy egg white. Okay, padding can be there. So whatever the items you get added, you keep adding, we will just show them like this. I mean, this can be better that you can display them inside a table. And there is also another item is remove or the clear. We can actually remove this, which is decrement. So here you can have the buttons. And here when we do one click, you can dispatch the remove action. And we don't have a remove, we just have a decrement. So that action we can import. Use selector. So here from the cart slice, this is, I think the decrement is the call. Like if the item is added, you can decrease it, or there can be a action just remove the item from the product. And decrement, and here we need to pass the ID. So we are passing product dot ID. Okay, that's it. Let's see this thing now. Okay, these two items has been added. Okay, this is adding the items, right? And if the item is already there, then what it will do, it will just increase the count, right? Here you can see we are just increasing the quantity of that particular item, and when you click on remove, that should be able to remove the item from the cart. Okay, so now if we just see the Redux, all the actions being triggered. So these items we are adding. We can item center. This can be a flex column, justify center. So all the items will be vertically centered. Okay, these are all the items which we have added in the cart. Okay, this looks better. I mean, we can make it small, something nicer. I mean, just a demo. I just wanted to show how the Redux Toolkit really works. Okay, so now the final demo is how it works. We are also showing the count here, you can see. So currently we don't have an increment and decrement buttons, but like when you click on to add, it should show you two options that you can also decrease or increase the quantity from the cart only. I mean, just a simple demo. I wanted to show it like this. So this is the cart items. You can show this in the nice table format where you can see, okay, this item has been added, and then from here you can remove, right? I mean, currently there is no boundary. I'm checking inside the code. That's why here it is just increasing and decreasing the quantity. Okay, so that's it. You can also inspect the Redux state we have to the bottom, and this Redux state tells us everything about what we have done. So now if I just start adding the items, so you can see the items has been added in the cart, and this is all about the Redux toolkit. We will cover a couple of more examples. It's all about sometimes we have to work on the styling part, and I'm not expert on that. Okay, that's it guys. Thanks everyone. Thanks for watching.